2022. I'm here, been talking to some great films from Scandinavia. And this one is a Scandinavian, bit Swedish, bit Egyptian.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking to the team from Boy from Heaven. We have the director Tarik Saleh and the actor Tawfeek Barhom, who plays Adam, the main character. As I just said, this is the talk of Cannes, this film. It's a real hit, been getting, I think, the best reviews of Cannes so far. But Tarik, let's back up and ask, where did this idea come from? Because I think it's about a young fisherman who goes to this very religious university and becomes a sort of pawn in politics. And your grandfather, did he go to this university itself?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Education has been something very charged in my family because as any child of an immigrant, you know, you constantly, I mean, you're reminded every day that you're standing on the shoulders of your grandparents. That's like I'm being told every day. In my case, the story is very moving because my grandfather and my grandmother in the 30s in Egypt, they were living in small villages in the Nile Delta, and they got educated, both of them. And they were in love, and they moved to a city. And my grandmother, she got the certificate from the king so she could work as a married woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
And revolutionary at those days. Right?
Revolutionary. She was a teacher and he was a teacher. And then they were sent by the government to Manzala, this fishing village that is like, you know, in the film. My grandfather, who had studied at Al-Azhar, both of them knew Quran by heart, so they knew the whole book. Yeah, you know, which is kind of insane to think that you can learn that. And of course, you know, when I walked up the red carpet, I felt like, you know, I can't talk about it because I start to cry because it's like, you know, I wouldn't walk there if they hadn't taken that walk, you know. Why I made the film and eventually made the film was because when I read Umberto Eco's In the Name of the Rose as a grown-up. I read it as a teenager and I was like blown away by it. But when I read it as a grown-up, I started thinking of Al-Azhar and the stories from there and the role it plays. And I was like, could you tell a story from inside of Al-Azhar? No, you can't. You cannot do that. You can't touch that. But if you would, it would be interesting.
You're brave enough to, yes.
It could be interesting. And then, of course, the state always wanted. And then, you know, the story starts to tell itself. And, when you're, like most filmmakers, when I close my eyes, films are playing inside of my head. So I just have to keep my eyes open, basically. And then, you know, all of a sudden I started writing it. And then all of a sudden we were making a film. And now we're all of a sudden in Cannes.
You're in Cannes, the glamour. Yeah, it's amazing. And Tawfeek, when you're not Egyptian, you've never been to a religious school. You know, this is the beauty of acting. When you first read about this script, this character of Adam, were there things you could identify with him, even though he's so different to your modern life?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, he is in so many ways so far from me, but so close at the same time. I mean, I did find, you know, and you have to do that. You have to find sort of similarities, you might call them. But he's someone who had to, you know, he's the image of the pure to me, a clean slate that has to grow up real fast because of circumstances, and that's something I'm well aware of and lived myself, you know. So it was, in that sense, it was easy, but in general, I had to travel very far, and that was my only worry. I mean, the script, when I read it, it wasn't, I couldn't deny it, but my only worry was, can we stay authentic? And I had him being completely blindly just trusting, going, yeah, no, you'll be fine. That made me nervous at the time.
Yes, I remember.
So nervous. I mean, we barely talked because he had this idea where, like, Tawfeek is Tawfeek, and I trust him fully, and let's delegate authority, and that's a mark of a a great director to go, okay, and it was collaborative, and that was really nice.
Yeah, sounds like a good process.
It was a privilege because we got to actually push the envelope, to not fix things, to actually work, you know.
It's wonderful. It was actually wonderful, but I just say that about Tawfeek. First of all, it was transcendent because he looked like my grandfather when he was young.
Aww.
So I was sort of overwhelmed when we met, because I was like, so that was, I right away felt a kinship and, you know, all that. And then he's a filmmaker too, which is great. I love working with actors that are filmmakers because, you know, like the first time I worked with a great actor was Vincent Gallo, and it's very pleasant, because what happens is that I can actually delegate. I'm a very lazy director, so I like to delegate. No, but like Tawfeek casted for me. And we were playing around when in Adana, sometimes I ask him, can you direct your younger brother? And so the natural sort of relationship in the family, because of course the father have delegated a lot of the work of raising his brothers. And that's how it's done, because it's big families, and you know, so you sort of, when the father is not happy with what that his mid-brother has smoked, he just gives Adam a look. He smoked, it's your fault, your fault, you didn't control him. And that's all Tawfeek, and not acting, directing, you know. And so it's a wonderful thing to have a community and a group that makes a film together. And then ultimately I am a dictator and I decide everything. So it's of course wonderful for me to have collaborations.
A collaboration with a boss.
Yes.
At the house.
To a certain extent, until you pass a thing, you go, okay, you went far enough. Yeah.
And Tawfeek, did you have to study any kind of Egyptian dialect from this fishing village, or how did that go?
It was funny because this was really my most, I mean, I did a lot of accents the last 10 years, and I did the hardest ones, and you know, Iraqi was one of the hardest, Moroccan is hard. But the thing is, what people don't understand, Arabic is, it's called Arabic, it falls under the same radar, but it's not. It's a different language. With that comes a different look at the world and nuances that you have to learn. But we didn't have time to prepare. I only had my secret stash of tons of Egyptian movies that I watched when I was a kid, because that's all we had on TV when we were kids. Every Friday, you watch an Egyptian movie, you know, on Israeli channel, and that's what I watched. And it all came back as we were filming, because we had a guy who helped us a little bit, but he wasn't helping me. He was, you know, he was busy helping everyone, and but it was. And that was one of my biggest worries. But I had Egyptians coming to me and saying, "So we're from Egypt."
That's the highest
so I'm like,
compliment.
okay, if I fooled them, we're doing all right.
Yeah.
You know.
But you couldn't actually shoot the mosque scenes, especially in Egypt.
No.
I mean, has the Egyptian government seen the film? Have you had any response, or has anybody from Al Azhar seen the film yet?
I don't think Al Azhar have seen it, and I want to say also, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the current Sheikh Al Azhar. I think he's a brilliant man. I think he's very intelligent. This is a fiction film.
Yeah.
President of Egypt, who's, you know, he's a military guy, and he's a dictator, to put it bluntly. And he, of course, have not seen the film yet. He's not here, but he probably has people here that have seen it and reported back. And I'm sure they are not, you know, I mean, they will not invite me and give me a Medal of Honor, but again, I think it's a mistake. I think they should be proud. We're in the main competition in Cannes. I think I love Egypt, you know. I'm not like a nationalist. I'm not a nationalist. I love Sweden because of the soil. I love Egypt because of the soil, because of the people, because of the language, and it's my home. And so I think that if you really love a place, you're willing to tell the truth about it. You know, like in a relationship, you're willing to say, like, I love you, but please, you know, wash your hands.
It's a good analogy. You've both done a lot of other films, had a lot of success in other projects, but I don't think either one of you have walked that Cannes red carpet before. And what is it actually like? Is it nerve-wracking? Do you get nervous? Do you book your tux? Do you get it fitted weeks in advance? How is that part of it?
It's insane. I mean, the truth is, and I don't know if you should say this, but so Thierry invited me with a family 2019 here. I didn't have a film. And I attended a lot of events and lunches and dinners, and I attended the red carpet. I was at one point even sitting next to Yong Bong-ho when he received the prize, and I started to feel like, okay, I'm wearing a virtual reality helmet. I'm here, and now I sort of understand why. Because I could not figure out, what am I doing here? I don't have a film. I am here financing a little bit, you know, but what is going on? And I said to Thierry now, I was like, thank you, because there is nothing that can prepare you. And I tell you, even going through that, as a filmmaker and as an actor, I think like it's nothing like it.
When it's your own project, it's very different than just walking up the steps.
I mean,
how did you find it?
I mean, more than the steps, it's. I mean, it's an elaborate show and all that, but more than the steps, it's just like realizing that you're in a different place than you've ever been, because the moment you walk into that room, and everyone was already standing, waiting for you to come, and we're late, and you know, and I mean, just to watch it with people who are, you know, known to be
real cinephiles in that room.
And
just thinking of all the other films that have shown on that same...
Apocalypse Now, you know, things like that, you know, and when this film that plays with the names that goes on the stair, I was like, you know, I was like, wake me up. Wake me up. And I'm going to be humiliated when I wake up, you know, from this dream. Like, who do you think you are? I mean, you're Tarik, you're here in Stockholm with your, you know, and Billy needs to change her diaper. That's who you are. You're not like, who do you think? You thought you were Rossellini for a second, you know, or you know, the Visconti. No, you're Smuck from, you know. No, it is mind-blowing.
Yeah. Well, I think you've proven you can do the diapers, you're not the schmuck, you're the talk of Cannes. Huge congratulations on this amazing film, Boy from Heaven, and wishing you continued success.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Oh, that was wonderful.